You know what's interesting about a dental chair? Nobody lies in it. The moment you sit down, something shifts. The small talk stops, the walls come down, and people start telling you things they've never told anyone. Their fears, their regrets, their dreams, their secrets. I've heard it all. My name is Adriana Cappelli. I am the VP and COO of Cappelli Dental in Hillsdale, New Jersey. And for the last 3 years, I've had a front row seat to some of the most real and remarkable human moments I've ever witnessed. This podcast is where the stories live. Confessions at the Dental Chair, where we talk about life, business, love, loss, and everything in between. Because the most honest conversations happen when you are leaning back, staring at the ceiling, and you realize you have nowhere else to go. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's begin. As I say, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Of course.
You guys been patients of my husband for many years
Many
now.
years.
Yes,
Yep.
Your beautiful wife, Terry.
Beautiful.
We love her today.
Yep.
Your children.
Yep.
So thank you. It's an honor to have you. So take us back to Joe from Saddle River.
Right.
What was life before radio? What were you doing before that?
Well, before I got into the radio, I was a food salesman.
Okay.
I'd done it for a lot of years in a lot of different capacities. I started really, I guess, like 1977. I worked for a food broker named Food Enterprise. And I did that for a number of years, and that was okay. Then I kind of moved on. I worked for a company called White Rose out of Secaucus. I worked for them for probably 5 or 6 years, something like that. And then I got into working for a cookie company, Century Cookie, where I did a lot of traveling. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't do it that long. I did it for about 2 years, and I wound up leaving there. And I worked for a while at my stepfather's car dealership, Cundert Motors in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. So I did that for a while, but that, I wasn't really a car salesman. I probably did that for 2 years, something like that. Now we're into like the 80s, early 90s, 80s. Then in 1990, I got back into the food business. I worked for a woman by the name of Marie Cook. I worked for her. She was a food distributor as well. I did that for about 5 years. I worked in the city. I was in Manhattan. I was in the Village. I was in Brooklyn. Yeah, I had some other side clients as well, smaller, like mom and pop stores and stuff like that. But I did that for about 5 years. From 1988 until 1994, I was single.
Okay.
All right. I'd been married to my first wife for 13 years. We eventually split up, and so I was like single for about 6 years, living in my with my mother for a couple of years. My stepfather had passed away. Lived with my mother in Saddle River for a couple of years, and then she passed away in January of 1990. So I was by myself. My sister was in medical school, so I was living there by myself for for about 3 or 4 years, and until I finally wound up marrying Terry in 1994. I met her in 91. So that kind of that's where I was, and when I was still doing the food salesman stuff, I became a big fan of WFAN. And I used to listen to it every day, on the radio coming home. Mike and the Mad Dog especially. I was a big fan of their show. And
you won a contest?
I didn't look at it as a contest.
Okay.
I never looked at it that way. They were having what they called a Fan Appreciation Day. Okay. And they were talking to a number of different people that they were going to be part of this. And what happened was, I was a regular caller too. They knew me well. I mean, Joe from Saddle River.
Yes.
So I remember calling Mike and Chris one afternoon and say, "Look," I said, "you gonna have all these other guys doing this?" I said, I want to get a shot at this." So they gave me an opportunity. What it was in December of '94.
Okay.
December, right around Christmas time, and
beautiful Christmas present.
It was it was. But it didn't really materialize at that point yet. Okay. What happened was they had a day when they had 4 different people, 4 different guys who had been callers, come in and actually do an hour show. All right. Now, they put me with a great guy who's no longer with the Fan either, by the name of Eddie Coleman, who was great, covered the Mets for years for the Fan and all of that. But I didn't need Eddie to do the show. I could do it myself.
Yes.
I did the show. I did my hour show. When I got off the air, I got a phone call from the great Susan Waldman, who of course is now one of the Yankee announcers on the radio. Okay. She was working at the Fan at the time, but she calls me off the air and tells me what a wonderful job I did. Oh, you were so delightful. You were this, you were that. Okay, great. Wow, this is
With a beautiful voice.
Right. This is pretty cool. Right? So anyway, a couple days later, Mike Francesa is on by himself, and he's talking about all the different people that had done this show. So I had my daughters, and I was driving back from Massachusetts, dropping them back off with their mother. I had them for the weekend. And Mike's going, I'm listening to Mike as I'm coming back, and he's talking about, this Fan Appreciation Day. And he said the only guy that really came across with any kind of an opportunity to work in this business was me. And I hear him saying this, right? I'm like, wow, I couldn't, I'm like, wow, are you kidding me? I'm like, wow, this is a big deal. So I remember I got home, I called him, I got on the air, we talked about it. They weren't handing me any show or anything at this point.
Yeah, you have to start from the beginning.
Right. So this is December of '94, and so this is the first time I ever really thought that, boy, maybe there's a future for you doing this, because I never really did. I wanted to get into the sports world, but I really didn't have any vehicles to get me in, except as a caller to WFAN. But I never thought anything would ever materialize.
Yes.
So this was the first time that I started to think maybe something could happen. So I started communicating with a guy who now is a salesman at the Fan, good friend of mine, Bobby Gelb. And at that point, Bobby was the producer for Mike and the Mad Dog. Okay, Mike and Chris. So he said, look, what you need to do, first thing I did, before I even got to that point, I enrolled in the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. And I remember doing it, and I'm like, well, in a lot of ways, I thought it was kind of a waste of time.
Okay.
So I got in touch with Bobby, and I told him what he was doing. He said, look, that's all well and good that you're at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, but you need to get on the air somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked around, and I found this radio station in Elizabeth, WJDM. This is not, now we're into 1995 now, okay? And I'm married to Terry now. We just married, barely a year. So I was married to her at this point, and she was all for me doing this.
Okay.
Now I'm still working in the food business, right, for Marie Cook at this time. Still doing it, right? But after I get done with my, my regular job on a Monday, I got in touch with WJDM, and I had to actually pay to do the show. I was paying them to do the show. Yeah, it was this kind of deal, right?
Okay.
So I was doing a show once every Monday afternoon. I did my regular gig, and then I had a show that started at 6 o'clock. I did it for an hour. Okay. So I did a couple of shows, and I told Bobby that I'm doing this. And I said, look, what's the chance that I can get, Chris Russo, Mike Francesa to come on my show? All right. He said, yeah, we might be able to work that out. I said, look, if this is doable, I'd like to have them on separately. Okay. So I had Chris Russo on first. He did the whole hour with me. It was great. The whole thing, interviewing him, talking back and forth, That went well. The following week, I had Mike on. And Mike did the whole show with me. And at the end of the show, and I don't know if anybody was even listening to this, but at the end of the show, Mike says, hey, look, Steve Summers is leaving the overnight. That overnight gig is open. You never know. Maybe you'll wind up, getting it. And I didn't, I never thought this was a possibility. Okay. This is now probably the summer of '95. Okay. This is where we are. Okay. So, all right. So Mike puts it out there. All right. About, I don't know, maybe 2 days later, if even that, maybe it was a day later, I get a call from Mark Chernoff, who's the program director at the Fan. And he says, look, would you want to come in and do some part-time fill-in work overnight? Overnight, right? From 1 a.m. to 5:30. Okay. This is what it was. And of course. I'm going to do this. And I forget what he said. We'll pay you scale. We'll pay you X amount, a couple $100 a show. It didn't matter at this point. Right. So, I did it. I filled in maybe for a month or so, I was doing weekends. I would do a Saturday night or Friday night, Saturday, whatever it was, and I filled in. So now we're coming toward the end of the summer. It's like, maybe mid-August, and I'm still working. Remember, I'm still working full-time for the food company, right? So Chernoff says to me, he says, look, can you get a week off? Can you take a week off from your regular job? I'd like to see if you could do a full week overnight. Okay? So I'm like, yeah, of course. Of course I'm going to do this. So I took the week off, and my boss she knew what I was doing, and she was very okay with it all. Thank God. She was a very nice lady. I don't know. I hope she's still. I don't even know if she's still alive anymore. Hopefully she is. But
she saw your potential.
Right. She knew that I could do this. So I did it for a week, right? And I'll never forget. I did the overnight show for a week, and then when I did the Friday morning show, because it really, it's Thursday night into Friday morning, I did that last show, and I went home. I went to bed like I always did. You get done. I was done 5:30 in the morning. I would go right home, and I'd have a little breakfast. My wife would give me breakfast because she's going to a normal 9 to 5 job, and and then I would go to sleep.
Okay.
So I go to bed, and I don't know, maybe it was around noon, 12:30. One of my daughters wakes me up. She goes, Mark Chernoff is on the phone for you. So I said, really? I said, okay. So I pick up the phone. He says, look, he says, you do it to my Chernoff. I don't want to do it like Mark. But anyways, he says, look, he says, the overnight show full-time is yours if you want it. And he says, the show is yours if you want it. And if you want to do it, at 2 o'clock, Mike and Chris are going to introduce you as the new overnight show host. Right? So I'm like, wow. He says, we're going to pay you $50,000 a year. I mean, they could have paid me anything at that point, and it didn't freaking matter.
Exactly.
This is 1995 now.
Okay.
So, I did it. I said, yeah, of course. So I went out with them, and they introduced me and all this. So my first show was actually the Monday into Tuesday, Labor Day Monday into Tuesday, 1 to 5:30.
Okay.
And that was the beginning. And I did the overnight for 9.5 years. I did it. I did it from 95 to 2004.
That is a tough schedule.
And it never seemed like it was going to. Look, I thought it was the best. It was the best.
Of course.
I got to tell you, the overnight shows, it was all about the fans. Nobody bothered me. I went to games like you can't believe. I was going Knick games, Ranger games, Met games, Yankee games. Like I would go to the game and then go from the game and go right to do the show. 1 o'clock in the morning. Games would be over 10:30, 11 o'clock. I go right in, right to do my show. Yes. It's perfect, right? So I did that for a little over 9 years.
Okay.
9 years and a couple months. Now, I didn't work on weekends. No weekends.
Okay.
It was basically Sunday night through Thursday night. That's basically what it was.
Yes.
Sunday into Monday, what I mean? Thursday into Friday. So weekends I was off, and then on the weekends I'd go back to a regular schedule again.
Okay.
Back with her for a regular schedule for, Saturday, Sunday, and then Sunday night I'm going back in to do the show again. 9.5 years. I remember one time getting up and saying, maybe 5 years or 6 years into this. And, how much longer are you going to do this? I can't take that. You're never home. I only see you on the week. All of this. It was becoming difficult. The rival to WFAN, which was ESPN Radio, was showing interest in me. So they were interested in me going over and working for them and working in the daytime.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I think it was like an evening show, whatever it was.
Okay.
Right? So they made an offer to me, and I came back to basically gave my agent basically gave Mark Chernoff an ultimatum. Either you put Joe into the midday show or he's leaving.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. They gave me the midday show. And that's November of 2004. I started doing the midday. I initially did it with Sid. I was with Sid Rosenberg.
Okay.
Right, in the beginning. And we did it for a while. We really had a good show. I guess it was 05. Maybe Sid and I did it for 6 months the second time.
Okay.
I get a phone call. It's the Sunday of the NFL opening day. Jets are getting ready to play the Chiefs. Maybe 12:30, half hour before kickoff, whatever. My agent calls me. Mark says it's over. Sid, they fired Sid. Sid was supposed to do the pregame show for the Giants that day, right? And he never showed up. He got involved with drugs again down in Atlantic City. He was in Atlantic City, whatever. So from that point on, for about the next, I guess, 2 years, maybe like probably 2.5 years, I did it by myself. But Chernoff had told me all along, I really want to put you. I want two men doing this. Eventually, you're going to get a partner. I just don't know when that's going to be. Okay. So I did it for about 2.5 years on my own. Okay. And then he put me with Evan Roberts. You know, I didn't even know who he was. You know, we had no prep together. I called him, you know, a couple days before we were going to start doing the show together, and we talked on the phone. You know, the good thing is he was 30 years younger than me, by the way. Let me say that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, like I'm 72. He's like early 40s now.
Wow.
But, you know, he was, at this point, 2004, you know, how the hell old am I now? It's 23 years ago. So, you know, I'm like 50 years old now at this point. Evan was like 20, 21, whatever he was. Right? So, okay, you know, I'll do it. I could do a show with anybody. And he was also a Jet and Met fan like me. Not a Knick fan, he was a Net fan. But Jet and Met fan like me. And I was a Knick fan, obviously. And we just clicked. And, you know, we did the show together from 2004 all the way up until I left in, I can't remember what year. The year was 2016. I did it for like 16 years with him. We did it a long time. That's right. So up until 2020, we actually did the afternoon drive. The year of COVID, 2020, we actually were doing the afternoon drive, and we weren't even going in. We were doing it from home. Yeah, we were doing it from home with all the BS, and there was no sports and nothing. And we were doing this show for, you know, almost a year without any sports happening. Yes. You know how it was, what a disgrace that was. God. You know. So anyway, that's it. So I did it with him from 2007 until 2020. I did I worked with Evan, and in 12 of those years we were doing the midday show from 10 to 1, and eventually we were doing it from 10 to 2. And that's it. And then in 2020, I left. You know, they gave me a 2-week send-off, which they don't do for anybody, but they did it for me. Okay. I had like a 2-week saying goodbye period. Yes. You know, I still left the door open to do part-time like I am now. I do Saturday morning now. That's all I do. Okay. On the fan. And that was it. And that was pretty much the run. You know, I did it from 1995 to 2004. I did the overnight. And then 2004 to 2020, basically the midday show.